OC channel. Hopefully the audio is fine and working fine. I wanted to answer a couple of questions, or just do a video mainly on this stuff. This is what I'm going to be doing here in the background, by the way, is going to be a lot of trial and error, so I'll probably die a lot, but I'm kind of purposely doing it to get through, unless I actually somehow come out without dying, but I doubt that. Lead effect guys here. Check. That guy just go. I'll be getting a new weapon soon, but for right now I'm using the Flame Straight Sword, is it? Something like that. Might be a long sword, let me check. So I want to talk about why I defend Dark Souls. It's a long sword. My second I said was the incorrect answer. So I wanted to talk about Dark Souls and its story. Now. Poison guy here. So I defend Dark Souls so many times in the past from different YouTubers. Even though I'm a very minor, small channel, I do it anyways because I love the series and I really care about it. And when I see somebody saying something that's definitely not correct, or is just really stupid in their logic, say Jim Sterling, stuff he said, and a lot of the points I made, both my friends helped me to come across with, but I also had a lot of it too, what I wanted to say, and it was funny because somebody came out and said, shut up, nobody cares about your opinion, stop being a baby about Dark Souls, that crap, and they kept saying that I was a child, ironically, while they're making their childish messages. So they kind of put themselves in a dumb corner, where if that person ever sees this video or ever sees me again in any of the messages, yeah, you're very childish. There were several indicators that you were way more childish than I was being. I do a lot of longer messages because I have a problem with trying to, like, if I want to say something, no matter how lengthy it is, I have to get it out or else I forget it, because I'm not very good with discussions in general sometimes. Like, I'll forget what I want to say, and I'll just lose it right there. So if I want to say something, I can't remember if that's like an ODS, what's that ODST? I was thinking Halo. OCD thing, or what it is, but it has always been something I struggled with. And when discussing that, I kind of like, I'm just like, I have to get this out here. Sometimes I might even have my own spell check errors. And I do go through the spell check errors. I did add those messages just to fix it a bit, which is funny on the other half because they had, like, even for, like, my spell check errors are more like, I didn't put a period, or I needed to be more formatted in a way that it fits as, like, paragraphs or something. And this person didn't have any of that. Their messages was short, but they were also misspelling a bunch of stuff, like, really badly. And they kept, like, name-calling, and that's more of a bully, kind of childish thing to do. And I'm not saying that they are a child, but that it was childish. Oh, I fell down here. They got a couple of dudes down here, so let's drink this, take care of this, dig. More? I don't think so. I didn't activate that. I don't know if I did or not. Okay. Let's get moving forward. We have to go this way. the Estus first because they regenerate at bonfires, so I don't use the life gems at all. I will use the FG after that. Right. Those guys can get through. Not yet, at least. Let's take care of her real briefly. Can't get over there yet. I want to get it. Okay, already. Wait a minute, this is where Pei was. I found out Pei was voice acted by the Tick, which was pretty interesting. The animated Tick, that is. Actually, let's make sure I'm full health. Right. Go up here. I know they like to climb ladders. Go. There's an area under here that you definitely have to face. This way. That does. Yeah, let's move that way. Let's go down here first. But I've had to defend Dark Souls. I've done that a lot for Angry Joe. Part of my video is going to actually be the other question than me talking about Angry Joe, but I'm also going to bring up another YouTuber that I really like. Sad I have to do this to him. He probably doesn't give a crap. I love his videos. I find him absolutely hilarious. He puts himself in ridiculous situations. I break these because I can. And I just find him very entertaining in general. But that is Doug. And I'm going over the story stuff because both Doug and as well as a couple other things. Doug, I want to briefly point out something Doug had a problem with when playing Dark Souls, the ladder guy.
Shush.
And
Stay quiet.
that is on the water here.
Don't give me away.
Trying to throw. That is the fact that he had a complaint of hating going back and forth, like retracing his steps back. I understand that, but it's kind of a punishment. But also, there's more to what he said that is objectively wrong. So he said something like, you die and you return and you have to go through the whole area, losing everything, you got all your souls. And I'm just like, somebody who reviews games like you, who's played something like Zelda, which Dark Souls is very similar to Zelda. From the Z targeting being similar to the targeting of Dark Souls, to the attacks, or the buttons used for the attacks being very similar. Matter of fact, the recent Breath of the Wild has a lot of similar control layout. Even God of War has very similar control layout to Dark Souls. It's just really funny to see all the games that are influenced by Dark Souls. And I know Dark Souls isn't the only game that have that kind of, like, set up or played that way. People bring up a Gothic, or Gothica, or whatever. That series, which is the guys who brought Piranha Bytes, I think, who do the recent, what is that game called? Elix 1 and 2. What the problem I have with his complaint there is that, first off, you don't lose your souls. You have another chance to get them back. And if you die that time, it's your fault. Well, depending on the situation. and I think the enemy placement and the setup, at least for Dark Souls 1, is done really well. And level design is really good for the most part. So we're talking about Lost Izalith. And I still like certain parts of Lost Izalith. I think some of the temples there are based on the design of Incan temples, which is pretty cool. And, you know, Orlando is based on a real-life location. I don't remember the name of the place, but I know I've seen it somewhere where it's been referenced to. There's a lot of stuff that Hidetaka Miyazaki does reference to in terms of the Berserk anime, or at least the manga. And a lot of it's referenced probably more from the manga, if I'm being honest. But you also, anything you collect, like when you see a glowing white light off of something, like it's a key item or some other item that can heal you or give you a boost to some other stat, or you a throwing item, or it's a weapon, new weapon or armor, you keep that stuff even if you die. No matter how many times you die, you will keep that stuff. So that's Doug's number 2 problem with that argument. And that's like a very clear thing, understanding of like the game mechanics. That death plays as a mechanic to Dark Souls and a punishment. And the iconic "you died." And here's the next thing. Dark Souls plays out like a very Metroidvania thing. And like I get that argument if you have that problem with all games, but I'm sure you love. I'm sure maybe Doug loves certain games where you backtrack, but doesn't really think about it when saying dumb things like this during Dark Souls, like Metroid or Castlevania. Even in games like Legend of Zelda or Halo, you backtrack. There are a lot of backtracking in those games. So, like, that argument I don't feel like is substantial, especially if you love those games. I understand it, and I can see it as a complaint, but then you have to feel like, oh, what about these other successful games, Metroid and Castlevania and stuff? It's like, shut up. I understand it, it's just, you look like a dummy when you make a complaint like that, yet you like another game that does that same thing. And Metroid and Castlevania are also difficult. Even Legend of Zelda was pretty difficult back in the day. Don't be coming out and saying, I don't like it because you have to go back through the same area constantly. Shut up. You have checkpoints, you have bonfires, they find new ways, like the Stake of Americas in Elden Ring, to have another checkpoint location, so you're closer to where you want to be, which is a great design choice. But there is kind of something I do prefer about the original way, but I do like the Stake of America stuff better, because it makes it less frustrating. But then again, I think that's part of the game's identity, is that frustration that it gives you, and like a lot of the stuff that the Hidetaka Miyazaki does for these games have a point. Like he gets across the point that he's trying to live up to the older to difficult games. He wants his games difficult, and he wants to live up to that. And if you want an easier difficulty setting for those games, and you haven't seen one yet, I don't think Hidetaka Miyazaki is going to do one anytime soon, or even in the future, because if he hasn't done one now, or back at Sekiro or Bloodborne, he's not going to do one anytime soon, because he's literally, how many games? 4, 5, 6, we've had like 7 games now, and he still hasn't done it. I don't think he's going to do it, and that's not a major problem anyways, and not one that matters anyway, because the design philosophy of the game is purposed to be specifically just hard. No other difficulty setting, just hard. It's your skills that decide the difficulty scaling of the game and how you learn, get better, or the saying, get good. By the way, Adam Sessler, you're wrong. Get good is here to stay because stuff like Elden Ring exists, and that kind of brought back the saying again. So as long as From Software is around and making games like that, I don't think that saying's gonna go anywhere. But yeah, just being part of yeah, I would think somebody like DougDoug would know, being somebody who reviews games and goes over different specific game mechanics and stuff, what he likes, even comparing it to food. You would think he'd do the same thing here.
You want to climb down here?
No. Or at least he'd think that way. And I'm surprised that a lot of, whether he's joking or not, as well as the people in his comment section believe him or not, I think at least some people who know Dark Souls in the comment section should probably come out and say the same thing I'm saying, at least. Like, but DougDoug, you realize you keep your equipment when you die, and you still have a chance to get your souls. As well as, haven't you played Castlevania and Metroid? Are those games all about backtracking?
Go on ahead.
Haven't you played Ninja Gaiden? That's hard. Some people, I like having games like Dark Souls exist because we have a different type of game. We don't always have the same cinematic movie telling in-your-face game that's becoming just as trendy and all over the place as Battle Royales now. Every game has become a cinematic movie telling game.
What do you need now?
Take, for example, even Halo and God of War is doing a very similar thing now. It's like, stop. Please. Add mercy. What's this? Okay. I'll have to buy this stuff later. Actually, now, because I'm probably gonna... Souls. Why not?
No, mate.
Actually, let's see if I can tell him about
Have you heard?
Majula.
Well, apparently, there's this monster lady, right? And the poison does wonders for her body. You know, that
Alright,
beauty. That's
let's get into
and I thought only you
story stuff, because both DougDoug and Angry Joe have said, oh, the story doesn't matter, or I've never seen the story. So first off, I want to say, so DougDoug said he only played 2 hours of the game. I'm just like, duh. You're not going to get into it with just 2 hours, especially if it's going to be a game that's a slow burn. Like the new Horizon game, I'm hearing like it is a slow burn until you get to the parts where you really are engaged. So I would say the same thing and give Dark Souls time. Also, DougDoug was going into the third game in the series, skipping the second, which I'm playing now, and only played 2 hours of the first, so of course he's going to have a messy perspective. And that's totally fine. The other thing is, Dark Souls is not a game for everybody. There was ironically a stupid quote,
She was human once, you know.
or like a article that was like, I was wishing Dark Souls games like Elden Ring was for everybody. It's like, have you ever seen the video Dark Souls is the IKEA of games? It's specifically trying to appeal to a specific audience. It's not trying to appeal to everybody like Resident Evil 6 was. Dark Souls considered the successor, while Resident Evil 6 was considered the failure. That's really dumb. And, really want to eat this. But I want to get what I want to say out of the way. So, I hate that article, it was so dumb. But yeah, watch Dark Souls IKEA gaming. You will understand what I'm trying to get at there. It's specifically going for a specific audience, sorry.
Find it. All the best.
And then when it comes to story and lore, I'm guessing that Angry Joe hasn't played much either, just like DugDug has admitted. So I'm guessing he has a very messy, or just not a very big perspective on it in the first place. Like there's not much there. I have to pull this again. I have to pull this again. Quick. Okay. When it comes to the story, I think first off, you need to be a pretty imaginative person. Because a lot of the story is very similar to Silent Hill, which is another ironic thing, because a lot of these guys have talked about highly dark Silent Hill, yet Silent Hill approaches storytelling in a very similar manner. But that of how the Souls do, where it's more subtle and a lot of the storytelling is in the background or the environment. Though Joe has said, I don't see that, and I'm just like, shut up. You dumb. You don't have a very big imagination, or you just don't look hard enough, or like I said, you didn't play enough to really see anything. It's probably another slow burn thing, I would say. I would say even, hell, I would even give Dark Souls a couple of playthroughs, because that's when I could really start seeing the story. I liked the court gameplay because it reminded me of Zelda and such. It was just really fun. Simple, like, gameplay design that's addictive. I remember where those bridges were. It's hard to see them from here. Hello, fate. But when it comes to the story, there's more elements than just what I said. Slow message. Okay. Nope. Hello.
Well, good to see that you
So,
survived.
there's several elements to how the story works, though, other than a slow burn or just having imagination to kind of,
Since you went
or
to
like the
have something
ooh ah kind of thing, where it's like you look at the environment and you're like, what's that all about, or what's that all about, ooh, what's that, you know. there are several other layers to the story and how the lore and story works. I don't think that video game designers would have designed certain levels the way they did, or put the effort that they did into the games. You have to understand that Dark Souls was starting out very young, and that they probably didn't have enough to work with, or maybe they were rushed in places like Lost Izalith. But that there is meticulous design to the areas, and that I don't think somebody would have put that there for no reason, or whatever they're doing. Same thing qualifies to the next two subjects I'm about to talk about. First off, so there are cutscenes, some show don't tell. I don't know why Angry Joe likes the tell don't show stuff. He likes stuff just being spouted out, exposition to his face constantly, I guess. He doesn't like the show don't tell kind of storytelling. He doesn't want to use the imagination for some of that stuff. But there is the beginning cutscene that tells you what's going on. You also have, I think the Dark Lord ending talks more than the other ending. There's more talking there. Where the other one, you just light yourself on fire and you rekindle the flame, keep the fire going. But who knows for how long. It's Dark Souls 3. And I want to talk about Dark Souls 3 and 2 sometime. That'll be its own video. But I want to say that the other things where it's like meticulous in how they designed it, or they wouldn't have gone to the effort, as much effort as they have with the stuff. And I do like the cryptic speech that characters spew out. I mean, that's the same thing Silent Hill does. There's a lot of weird dialogue in Silent Hill, whether it's acted weird or it's just said in a really strange manner. It's still very similar. And then you have dialogue from all the characters, which is your other storytelling. You can ask these characters. There's also a yes or no prompt for a lot of stuff. You can get lore from them. And the next thing that you can get lore from is look in your inventory, press, hold on, you have to do it actually here. Press like, okay, it's square. Press square or something, and you have some stuff to read. There's your other story. I don't think somebody would have put that there, especially this many items. And there's more to come, by the way, way more. And then you got this many items, which there are way more as well, and this many items, which there are way more as well, and then all these items. It's like, how do you not see lore? Oh, and I forgot arrows. Do arrows count? I don't know. Might as well throw them in there. And then you got like key items and all this other stuff. Look, through all of these, you could probably get tons of lore. This is your encyclopedia right here. You just have to piece the puzzle pieces together. That is your story, that is your lore, and as well as the dialogue contributed. You put the puzzle pieces together. They may not all fit, like there are still mysteries that are untold in the Dark Souls universe, but that's the problem with Angry Joe. It's almost like Angry Joe coming over to Todd Howard and saying, hey, why don't you just straight up explain how the dwarves disappeared in Skyrim, or in the Elder Scrolls series in general. Why don't you just straight up tell us every mystery you've had in this series and just spill it? Just spill it out all out. Just like, can we have a little bit of mystery, please, Angry Joe? Like, frick off. Actually use your brain. Stop having stuff like Last of Us games and such spout out the story to you in exposition and crap. I love Last of Us 1, screw part 2, but god damn it, I like having those games once in a while that not only feel like a game, but I can still be immersed in the world and tell the story in a different way, in a different light. It doesn't need to spout out exposition in your face. I like it vague. I actually like it more vague or symbolic or whatever, like Silent Hill, than I do being told to me like it's a movie. And I'm like, if I want a movie, I'm going to go watch a movie. I don't mind if a game has movie-like elements, but I like it better when it's a game like Mass Effect or even Heavy Rain, where I can at least interact with the cutscenes, or that the cutscenes have a part to play in the gameplay, or you actually do something. In Mass Effect, there is exposition, but a lot of it you can literally ask for, and that's your choice. It is your decision. You can ask Tali, how did you get the name Tali Vas Normandy or whatever? Why did you change it? You can ask that as a dialogue option. It's still another thing that you make the choice of saying, or you can just skip altogether. I think that is a better way of doing a story-like movie, and that's why Mass Effect is still like my favorite game. It's very emotional. It hit me on so many levels. But Dark Souls is just a really good game too, and it's really up there. Elden Ring, matter of fact, is freaking zipped up there. It's like one of my favorite games. Like, it's just like Breath of the Wild. Those two games have freaking redefined open worlds for me. Many people, I love them. It's a breath of fresh air while still being true to the formula they've had in the past. They just took it and put it in an open world, and it's awesome. I love it, as well as everything else they add on top of it, the many ways you can play and such. It's just incredible. But you have the specific lore and such put on these weapons. So say you have a buckler, it'll tell you a traditional small metal shield. Small shields are very light and easy to use, but have low stability when attacked. The center of a buckler is convex, designed to brush attacks aside, making parrying easier. So you have a shield telling you what that is. But then you have stuff like the armor. Say I want to go to a armor set. You got Vengirl's armor. So, as Vengirl's helmet suggests, he has not unlike a mad beast on the battlefield. So it's giving you some personality into that character, what that character is probably like. You got the Bone King. The very men who were ordered to hunt down the undead were themselves hollowed, and founded a kingdom of bone. So that's suggesting that these people who were ordered to hunt down undead, like you, became hollowed themselves, which is another name for what you are. And they became these rulers, or that boss battle, over a bone kingdom of skeletons and such. They became skeleton lords. So we're bone kings. So you can already see like some elements there of Desert Searcher. Look how much there is there too. Like not only is it telling you other things like about it's saying Sorcerer's Top from the distant land of Jugo appears to be a plain thin fabric, but is permitted with powerful magic. Desert sorcerers have enchanting looks, and they use them to catch people off guard. Oddly enough, even those who are perceptive enough to realize the ploy fall prey to their seductions with alarming regularity. So you've got that. That's kind of explaining their poison ivy from Batman. Now, but there's more to the game just by looking at the descriptions of the items. Don't other games have that? Like, oh wait a minute, Destiny, most of its grimoire is on a separate website. Never mind. I know there are other games that do a similar thing though. But yeah, it's like, why can't we have a different way the story is told, and there are still ways you can find the story, and that doesn't mean it isn't important. Like, I don't agree with Doug on that. I think that's a very, very ignorant way of looking at that. Whether he's doing it to be funny, or it's just a joke, or whatever, it's still very ignorant, and it's very lowly how he's looking at it. I don't like that stuff. I think it's dumb. it's just overlooked entirely. You can still play a Dark Souls game without realizing there's a story, or caring about it even. But to completely write it off, you're just being very ignorant. And then if you want, there are people who will exposition the stuff to you. Like VaatiVidya. I've done some lore videos. I've given up on doing the lore videos because I don't think I was very good at it. But I do have some interesting things to say about the lore of Elden Ring. And I also had some more comedic ways of telling the lore. But yeah, like, there's environmental storytelling, that's one layer you got. And then the next layer is your equipment. All your equipment have different descriptions on them. That's your next layer. And finally, the next layer, other than cutscenes, which would be a fourth layer, is the dialogue spouted to you by characters. And you can go and talk to them more and more, and give you more dialogue as they go. Or they'll repeat the same thing, but then that's just where you progress throughout the game. And then maybe they'll change locations or say something different, like pay here. But yeah. Man, I wanted to eat that piece of orange for a bit. But now. So, and I find Dark Souls very rewarding in an actual sense of accomplishment, unlike what EA is saying. And I really like that.
I prefer a more cautious approach. It's hard to know who to even trust these days. For instance, I've heard that a man is out for my life.
Oh yeah, he's bringing up Creighton. I remember Fungo made a video on this. So yeah, this too, like Creighton, this other character you'll see later, who also Kale alludes to. You got three characters where you have the three-way puzzle of story going right there, and it's like Kale's like, I've seen that. I used to live in the land of Mira, and there was this murderer there. I think he was Cray something. And you're like, the only character that sounds similar to what you're trying to say is Creighton. And he is also from Mira. And then you got Pate here saying there's a man out for his life. How you know that he's talking about Creighton is Creighton brought up how he remembers the name of the guy being Pate. So there you go, you're connecting the pieces. You're connecting the pieces between the characters. I watched a lot of lore videos, but even if I didn't, like, you could still find a way to connect the pieces if you're creative enough. If you have imagination, unlike Angry Joe and Dug Dug. Alright, I'm not saying they don't have imagination, but it does seem like they're very lacking in some areas. Yeah, I think that's about everything I have to say about the Souls games. There are several layers to how they tell the story, and the characters and such. I think there's enough there to get you invested, whether it be through the gameplay, or the story, or the characters, whatever it may be. Oop, ouch. This is easy to fall down that. So there are a couple other items in here, but I might have to get those later. They're going to go here. There. Go there. So, I'm trying to think. Let's just go for this. I know there's gotta be a way to get rid of that. I just don't remember how. Alright, let's end it here. I hope you guys liked and enjoyed this. I will be making a video on the next part to my playthrough this series, and then I will be moving on to making the video. I want to make a video on Dark Souls 2 and 3, and I'll probably talk about Dark Souls 1 as well. This one, I'll use them in reference to Dark Souls 2, because the video is subject on Dark Souls 2 not being that bad a game, but still having a lot of problems. Even though Dark Souls 1 and 3 do have problems of their own too. But they're all fantastic games, they're all really good games. So, I'll see you guys next time. Like, share, and subscribe, leave your comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.